everybody, whoever ends up popping in. So today I'm going to be working on a journal cover for my personal crazy journal that I started a long time ago. I've been really dragging my butt on doing the cover. One of the things I started to say before I lost track of my thoughts yesterday during diamond painting was that I jumped in with the junk journaling stuff really quickly and I fell in love with it. And then I kind of I got to a point where I'd made a bunch of stuff, and then I was finding that unless I had a purpose for making a journal, I really wasn't enjoying it. So that was kind of it was nice. It was easy for me to work on Jen's journal because I had a purpose for it. But I really started to struggle to just come into my craft room and make journals just for the heck of it. And I'm not sure why. I don't know why that shift happened. But regardless, it did. Working on your hives. Yep, got to get them bees ready for winter. I'm going to just kind of start, but I'm going to keep an eye on the chat as well as the number count of people that are watching. And if the numbers start to climb, I will pause for a moment to remind people that this is a no drama zone. But yeah, so sis, when you typed into the chat, is your name blue with a wrench next to it? Okay, so just for practice before we get started, click on Barbie's name. I don't remember if it's like a double click or a right click, and it should pull up like a menu. I'm not sure if you're delayed or not. Oh, press and hold. So yeah, that's essentially, so that window that pops up, so if somebody comes in and they're saying really nasty stuff, you just click on it, pop that up. If it's like super nasty, just block them right away. If it's subliminally snarky, snotty, you can put them on a timeout, or I think you can hide them as well. I think that's two different options. She's not timing you out, Barbie. I'm just trying. She's new to modding, but since you're the only one in here, you're the example patient. Patient, that's not the right word. But yeah, so I mean, it's really that simple. And as you can see on that menu, you can also look at that you can jump in and check out their channel real quick. A lot of times what people do is figure out, like with the sock accounts, extensive content. I don't know. I've not actually looked at Barbie's channel. It would be cool if she's got some videos on there of her doing her beekeeping stuff. I think that would be cool to see. But yeah, you can go into the profile and kind of check them out. And what I see a lot of times is when sock accounts come in, is they'll go to the channel and see, when was their profile created. And a lot of times it was created like today, and they created it just to be asses. But like I said, right now, as small as we are, I mean, they're pretty easy to spot if they're not if they're not people that are here to actually see the content. They're just here to start trouble. So, so far, it looks like you and Barbie are my only watchers for now, which is fine. Our community yeah. World War III happened last night, so there's a lot of stuff going on. But so I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off because I personally feel like I look like crap. I could actually breathe a little bit today, but my eyes are still really puffy. My face is puffy, so turning the camera off. So one of the first tricks that I learned when I started watching people on YouTube that do videos is figuring out how to mark your workspace so that you know you're always in frame. You know, you're not having to like super guess around. I was getting really frustrated because I was almost having to start on my phone again today because once again, my laptop was being stupid. And it took me 35 minutes to actually get things going, and it finally loaded into StreamYard literally 30 seconds before I was supposed to start streaming. So I got to do some work on my laptop, figure out what its issue is. I don't know if I need to defrag it. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, so some people will put like a piece of paper so that, you know, the size of their filming area so they know that they stay in frame. My struggle with that is that paper moves around, and if you're not really paying attention to the screen, you could be off camera for a long time before you realize it. So one of the tricks that I do, I don't know how many people are familiar with washi tape, but it's a low tack decorative kind of tape. It's, you know, very low tack. So I just quarter this out and I put some washi on the four edges of my filming area. And so then I know as long as I'm within the boundaries of this washi tape, I know that I'm in screen. Which is hard to do when I'm trying to watch the camera and knowing where it's at. So you can see my 4 pieces of washi. Got one here, one here, one here, and one here. So as long as I stay within this square, I will always be in frame for the camera. Some essential tools that you need for making a cover, obviously, is the inside of the journal itself, the signatures. What you're going to cover it with. Well, so some people, you can use fabric, you can use paper. Hi, Stephanie. My fellow hour and a half sleeper person, my insomnia buddy, my other insomnia buddy. Some sort of cutting tool, because you're gonna need to cut some cardboard to make like the spine and the front and back. A ruler potentially, and of course glue. Now, in the world of junk journaling, there is probably 50 different kinds of glue that people use, and for different things, different mediums. Like your standard white Elmer's glue, you can't use on vellum. Not only does it not hold it well, but it doesn't, even the Elmer's glue normally, it dries clear. You still can't, you can still see where the glue is through the vellum. There is a glue that is usually used for using for vellum, and I think it's Barely Arts, Bearly Arts glue. I think is what it's called. Comes in a little bear, like the honey, the honey containers. It's cute. Comes in a little bear bottle. I just shot my lid off of there. I've never invested in that glue because I don't really work with a whole lot of vellum. But we'll see. Another good one is it's called Fabritech. This is a silicone-based glue. It smells horrendous. And you want to use it, so you want to use it in a well-ventilated place. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself pretty high. Because it does smell bad. It burns your nose. But the hold on it is fantastic. And you can use it for paper to paper, fabric to paper. I have not tried using it to like glue like metal buckles and stuff down, so I'm not sure how well that works. But by far my favorite glue. But it's expensive. This 8-ounce bottle at Walmart is $9 for an 8-ounce bottle of glue. But if you buy it at the hobby store, you're going to buy the same bottle for twice that easily. I was shopping one day, I was waiting for my truck was getting serviced, and I walked across the street to the hobby store, and I was on the phone with my daughter, and I sent her a picture of the price of this glue at Craft Warehouse, and I was like, holy crap, I'm going to keep buying it from Walmart, even if they run out. And they do run out a lot, probably because their prices are so much better. So when I do go to Walmart, if they have it in stock, I'll buy 3 or 4 bottles of it just so that I always have it on hand. The Fabritech or Fabrifix, they're the same. I mean, they're essentially the same. They're just a different branding. Fabritech is Beacon, and I can't remember who makes Fabrifix, but they're the same company under different names. It's the same glue. Just depends on what part of the country you're in. Whether Fabritech is there or Fabrifix is there. This bottle is fairly stiff, and I don't know if the opening here, it's a big hole. So this glue comes out, if you use the regular bottle that it comes in, it comes out really super fast, and you make a mess, and you waste your very expensive glue because you end up wiping a lot of it away. So I transfer it into these bottles. They're called Sugar Bell icing bottles. Are actually for cake decorating, but they've got this really cool, my lid was stuck. They have these really cool fine tip metal. Where am I? There we are. Really fine tip. And so you get this really thin bead of glue, which is nice because, again, the glue is expensive. So you don't want to waste it, as you want to salvage as much as you can. Some other kind of general essentials is some sort of rag, because you're going to be wiping off your fingers. You're going to be wiping glue off your table. Sometimes trying to get some glue off your project. And also some sort of, remember when I spilled my water yesterday, Sam? I'm still finding water. And apparently you need a rag on your table to also mop up a mess that you make that you didn't know you made until after it soaked everything on your table. Is some sort of hard plastic card, and this is to help spread, and push the fabric or the paper into the glue and really kind of adhere that together. Doesn't really matter. I mean, we all get these kinds of things in the mail. Credit card offers. It's like, oh, activate this card, and suddenly you've got an account, or whatever. This one was an offer to, I think it was a life insurance. Simple, fast financing, customized to meet your unique needs. I'm like, whatever. So that's always nice. There's also a tool called the bone folder. Mine has been missing for several months. I'd show you what it is, but I don't know where mine's at. A ruler, potentially, if you, well, you will need a ruler if you're making yours from scratch. To save time, I've already pre-cut all of mine. And like I said earlier, some sort of cutting device, whether it's a cutting mat, a ruler, and a craft knife, or you use, depending on what your backboard is going to be, you could, if it's thin enough, you could do it on a cut. What are those called? What are these? you know, cutting paper. This is a really cool tool. Just bought it. In fact, that's what I was doing at Craft Warehouse when I found the glue. I was window shopping, waiting for my truck, and came across that. So I did a video of this journal a while back, because some people had seen bits and pieces of Jen's, the journal that I made for Jen. And I referred to hers as naked. And people are like, what? You journal naked? And I'm like, no. Because I said I make it more naked when I'm doing it for other people. I tend to like mine super crazy. And if I know that the person I'm making it for also kind of has that chaotic type of mind, I will make it a little more crazy like this one is. I'm going to, hopefully I have enough battery on this. I should. I think it's at like 53. Because having this cord hanging here is driving me a little bonkers. ADHD. Sorry. So when you're doing a journal like this, I mean, it comes from the junk journaling world. I call mine scrap journals because I don't use a lot of the junk that is typical in a junk journal. When in the traditional movement of a junk journal, you literally are using things you would throw away. So you're making a journal out of oatmeal packets, out of macaroni and cheese boxes. You're taking labels off of water bottles and using that as decorations. Things that you would normally throw away is what you make your journal with. I mix and match a little bit. I love using the oatmeal packets for pockets. And they're they always have that one little edge where it's completely sealed up. It's perfect for attaching and making that pocket into some sort of a flip. Another one of my favorite items to use for flips and pockets is actually the pharmacy bags. When Jen showed hers on her channel, that very first page where it had that flip out with a journaling card in it, that was actually made with a pharmacy bag. But you literally can use anything in your junk journal. Anything. So yeah, this has, just random tags everywhere. The pages are different sizes. I've got decorative edges. I've got short pages, long pages, torn pages. It's just, kind of crazy and kooky and all over the place, kind of like me. So a journal is built or is made of what's called signatures. So I have one signature here. One signature here. One signature here. Oh, look, there's some of that bubble paper. And then one signature here. And they're all bound onto a solid spine. This is for a technique called a hidden spine. It is my favorite way of binding a book. You just have to keep in mind that this part of the spine is going to be visible inside your book. So you're going to want to make sure that you either like the way it looks, which I do because it's got kind of a little bit of writing here and it's blue, so it's sky background, or you want to decorate this before you sew your signatures onto it because you will see that tiny little lip right here on the sides of your signatures. So when you used your standard copy size paper and you fold them in half, that gives you a journal that is 5.5 by 8.5. So you want to make your cover a 1/2 inch bigger on each side. And you also want to give that little bit of space when you're making the piece for here. You want to make it just a smidge wider so that way the book can fold, or the cover can fold around it. Okay? So your pieces for your cover, like I said, if you're using your standard copy paper, your cover, forget what these are called. It's what makes the cover stiff as a book. Makes it as a book. And then you have 2 6x9s, and then you have your center spine, which is 9 inches tall, and your width is based on how big this part is. So if you see, it's just a hair bigger, not much. So this is the fabric that I've chosen. I'm doing a cloth covered one. This is the fabric that I've chosen. It's kind of going to be new for me because I've never done one that I'm trying to leave a piece attached. Usually I wrap all 4 sides. So I'm hoping it turns out. And then this is the inside. But I guess if I'm going to experiment with a new technique, at least I'm experimenting on my own journal, right? Give Miss Moo a hug and kiss for Mama. So I had to do a little bit of pre-work on this too, because this was initially 13 inches wide, and I only needed it to be 10.5. So I had cut it down, but then I was like, oh great, now it's 2 pieces. That's going to make gluing a pain. So since I had to do that anyway, I actually added a sheet of like a foamy. Comes in packages. I got, so it's real thin, but it's got a little bit of squish to it. So I just cut it down, stuffed it up in there, and then sewed those 2 pieces together just to kind of hold it all in place. So once you have your fabric and you have your book pieces, I just realized though I glued those corners and I'm going to have to cut them. Oh well. So this is where I'm kind of winging it quite a bit, because I want to have this point wrap around and to be used as my closure. This is one area where I tend to do stupid stuff, like forgetting to think about the closure before I do stuff. And then I get the cover on, and then I have to figure out what I'm going to do for a closure. Where if I thought about it ahead of time, would have made more sense. Because sometimes you get all the fabric and stuff glued on, and then the closure idea that you come up with doesn't work because you lose a lot of the aesthetic of the fabric you just put on. So I just do a quick, just to hold things in place. Don't need a lot of glue there. Get centered, make sure my point doesn't go all the way over because it's not what I want to happen. Pushing that down, and again, it's just to hold it in place for now. Because once you get both sides, the outer cover and the inside glued down, these aren't going to move. So when you glue the centerpiece, the spine piece down, you want to line it up top to bottom and leave just a little space in between. Because again, you want to be able to fold without the backing getting in the way. The other thing about Fabritech is because it's silicone based, it is very thick. So if you did like I just did and I forgot to leave it on its side, when you go to use it again, you have to sit and wait for it to get back down to your nozzle. So I try to remember to put my lid on it and lay it on its side so at least the glue is halfway to the top. There have been some other junk journalers that I've seen. They have like soda cups or soda bottles and they turn them upside down and they just leave the cap off and just stick the Fabritech in there upside down uncapped while they're working. And I've tried that, and for whatever reason I get way more leakage than other people do, and I end up with a lot of glue in the bottom of the container. And I'm like, well, that was a waste. So you want to trim these corners off. It's kind of like doing I don't know if there's any sewers listening, but it's like if you're going to make a sheet, you would cut these corners so that you could then fold them together. It's kind of the same concept. It just helps you fold your fabric into place. This is also the first time I'm working with this particular bumpy, lumpy fabric. But like I said, I guess it's better to experiment on my own journal than one that somebody has asked me to make for them. So because I'm gluing the paper to the fabric, or set the backwards, the fabric to the paper, you're going to want to use a little bit more glue than I did when I was just tacking the boards down. Because again, you're going to be holding down, a much more significant amount of material. So I just run the glue across. You're going to fold this over. The other lovely thing about Fabritech is it actually grabs really quick. If you think about trying to do this with your regular white school glue, you'd be holding this for 20 minutes waiting for it to dry enough that you could do anything. But with Fabritech, it's literally that quick. It's holding. It's not dry, mind you, but it's holding its position so that you can go on to the next step without having to wait, which is nice as well. Now, just like most things in, doing these kind of journals, where you get your fabric is entirely up to you. I tend to go to Goodwill and look for fabrics a lot. Go to the bedding area of your local Goodwill. Curtains and bedding, and you'll find awesome fabric. This fabric here is actually a table runner that I got at the secondhand store. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to work with that. I want to play with it. I won't get to play as much as I'd hoped, because when I was doing the pre-cutting and sewing last night for this video, I cut the first one incorrectly. So I've got to figure out how and where to now use fabric that's smaller than my typical journal. I think my dragons are angry that they don't have lunch yet. Yes, go to Goodwill. I'm glad you're feeling better, David. So you've got the insides of your cover to help make it stiff. I like to use the thin ones because I do tend to pad them with some sort of foam. So I use these that are really thin. This was just a cardstock, but you can use cereal boxes, cracker boxes, macaroni and cheese boxes, any kind of thing like that to use as just kind of as your stiffener. Because it's all going to be covered. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter where it came from. Because the only person that's going to know is you. So I have this part glued on. The next step is to do this centerpiece to cover up here. Hopefully I've got a good size because I kind of had to guess at it last night. And I couldn't find my fabric scissors, no less. So this is where I'm going to struggle because normally this would be covered on the fourth side and I would just be gluing this, straight down like this. But because I'm trying to, I'm preserving that point, I don't know. I got to figure out how I'm going to finish that edge there. Not too many people watching, but those that are, any suggestions on how to finish this edge? I mean, I've got seam binding, I've got ribbon, belt, lace. Has he not learned yet that I have psychic powers and I know everything, every move he makes? So gluing your centerpiece on, again, the centerpiece could be paper. You can use scrapbook paper. You can use hand-dyed computer paper, whatever you want. The sky is literally, I mean, it's the limit. Whatever you want to do, you can do. So as soon as I get all this glue on, you'll see where the card comes into use when you're making a book cover. Ugh. And even though the Sugar Bell bottles are much easier to squeeze, for somebody whose hands don't like to work, it's still quite challenging. And then I always put a bead of glue right down the center where things are going to bend. Because again, you want that lining to stick in there so that when you open your book, you don't see all of this underneath. Now, if you left your glue like this, depending on what you're putting down, you will likely see these glue lines. So that's where the card comes in. Oops. It's funny. I was having so much issues with the glue. This first panel is already dried. But you want to spread out as best you can those big dots, you know, those big spots where the glue had gathered. Add some more glue because even though it's, you know, not cold in here, my glue is behaving as if it's operating in a cold room. It's coming out really, really slow, which is causing it to dry before I actually get my fabric laid down. Oh, that's kind of cool. Did you see that on a video somewhere? See, and this is where you get the glue on the hands, get the glue everywhere, and you just want to flatten this out. If you have another card that doesn't already have glue on it, you can use that to really push this down. But I don't currently, I don't see one readily available. So I'm just going to hand smoosh. For those sewers out there, you're probably cringing a little bit because I didn't do any kind of finishing on this piece. I did that on purpose because over time I want it to actually fray a little bit. That's also why I didn't glue straight up, like right to the edge, because I want this to eventually kind of fray itself out. Mostly with leather shaping over glue, but I've seen a few do it with fabric. And that kind of makes sense. The journal that Amy made while she was here, oh, there it is. She does a different kind of book binding. Oops, hide this comment. And this is like string. And so she glues that down and then pulls the leather over and then uses essentially like a bone folder and creases it down, and then it gives that old school look, bumpy look. I was supposed to finish this and send it to her, but I can't figure out. She has she picked out some book corner protectors, and I can't figure out how to get them on over this thick leather, because obviously the ones that I bought were not designed for leather; they were designed for paper and thin fabric. So I'll just take it with me when we go see them next month and give it back to her, and she can finish the journal herself. Yeah, she gave me that book on different ways, like different techniques for book binding, and I've been really chicken to like venture out because I like the pamphlet stitch. It's nice and easy. But I don't know. And there is one that I actually did from that book. That turned out pretty cool. I just need to practice at it because at the end, by the time it was done, it was really loose. I'm just trimming this corner up so that when I put my book corners, there's not too much of a hassle there to deal with. Oh, poo. All right, we're just gonna have to deal with the cord because my phone just vibrated to let me know that it's down to its 15%. I'll just try to wrap it around my boom arm as much as I can and keep that cord out of the way. Plug this in ideally, without moving it and messing up where my shot is. There we go. So I did just notice I've got a little bit of an overlap here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run some glue under there. The thing about sticking these on the side is that if you don't cap them, it will dribble glue all over your desk, all over your work surface. I'm just going to glue that down, tuck it in. Guess my guesstimation on this internal piece worked out in my favor. Hot glue dragon. That would be cool. I'd have to know how to draw first, though, or have some sort of template to follow, because I can't draw. Oop, wrong glue. This actually isn't glue. This is called gesso. It is white gesso versus quote-unquote clear. The difference between the clear gesso and the white gesso is that the white gesso has acrylic paint in it, whereas the clear doesn't. So you can make gesso in any color you want. There's lots of places online. Lots of YouTube videos and stuff on making your own gesso. But it's used for doing cover-ups of stuff. I did a video about how to use book pages that might have language on it that's inappropriate for a journal. And yet you still have this book that, either came in a bulk purchase or somebody gave to you or donated to you. So you don't want to waste it. I mean, book pages are valuable in this hobby. So you can use gesso to cover up those words. And depending on the more layers you do, the less of the words you'll be able to see at the end. So if you only do one layer, you'll have a little bit of the words showing through, which I prefer, because otherwise, why would I use a book page? But at the same time, you still have to kind of make sure that you're looking and making sure that the words that you were trying to cover up are actually covered. I had a piece that I had done yesterday. Well, I had it yesterday, and I kept moving it around because it was bugging me. And I'd move it on my desk, and then it'd be somewhere else in the way. So I'll just reach into my little thing here. So this book, you can see it's just one layer, but you can kind of see that the words still show through. These are pages from a book about war. And there's a lot of talk about the KKK and stuff in this book. So obviously I don't want that in a journal. But I love the feel of the paper. It's very crispy and crumply. In fact, you can see here that I mean, look how easy it tears. So it's very fragile, but beautiful for this craft. And then this book is out of, these pages are from a purple, I don't know if people might know about it. It's Purple Passion. It's a sex toy company. But they have this book that, you know, gives you some education on pleasurable use of their products. Again, not appropriate for junk journaling, but paper is valuable. So I gesso over them. This one, I actually did, I put coffee grounds, instant coffee grounds in it. So I got this brown on it to kind of age the pages a little bit. Like this is the gessoed side versus, you know, where it's fully visible of the words. You can see it does cover the words up. So again, when I go to use these, I'm still going to be kind of scanning to make sure that any words that are bleeding through are not visible. But at some point I will do in a, you know, future videos, you'll see how I use these as well. All right. Let's make sure this is where my bone folder would come in handy. Let's use my Cricut spatula. It's pressing that fabric down into that space between the cover and the spine. Just getting that glue to really adhere. I really need to start using my Cricut more. It is a very underutilized tool in my room. So you're going to fold, you want to retrain everything. You know, you're essentially telling it, this is what I want. This is what I want you to be doing. This is how you do this. Make sure everything bends, everything will close. I don't know how well you guys can see this. When I fold it up, there's a gap here. Use a color pencil. See, I can make the pencil go down inside the book. So that's why I always test this before I glue my signatures in. Because you want to make sure that everything is glued down. So I'll just stand it up on its end. Squirt some glue down in there and let gravity kind of carry it where it needs to go. I found my other card. Okay. Oh, a little bit more there. Oh, don't stand upright. That would not be smart. This happens, like I said, you know, because my glue, for whatever reason, is being like behaving differently today. It dried before I really got a chance to fully lay everything down. So you just kind of want to go around your edges, make sure everything is glued down. Adding more where necessary. Again, for me, I'm trying not to go right up to the edge because you can kind of see, you know, it's got some strings fraying out. Over time, that's what I want it to do. So I'm trying to stay away from the selvage edge as much as possible. Check again. Oh, corner is being really stubborn. All right, so the next step in this process for me is trying to decide which way I want my book to open. So I can have it open, you know, this way. Or I can have it open this way. Which I think I prefer to have the edge closest to the opening. You don't need another Cricut. You already have one. And you guys bought me this one, so it's not going anywhere. I just need to figure out how to do more than just like do digital cutouts. Like I scan the digi kits that I've purchased. I scan those in and then let the machine print it out. And I used it to, it was really cool. I have this big red ribbon and it's felt and it adheres to the Cricut board. So when I made Jen's journal, I did her mom's name and then I stuck this and I ran it through the Cricut and it just and cut her name out of this fabric ribbon or felt ribbon. So it was really cool. But I know that there's so many more things that the Cricut can do that I haven't even touched on. So I bound these signatures with a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I have since switched and started doing the 5-hole because I feel like it seems like the signatures move around less with the 5-hole than they do with the 3. Especially when you're using pages that are different heights, you're more likely to catch those random little bits doing a 5-hole versus a 3-hole. So I ran that bead of glue down that spine, and I'm just gluing the 2 pieces together. See, and this is where I was saying you really you want to think about your closure before you start doing anything, because logic now tells me that I should use a button. But the button would need to have been sewn on here before I glued it all together in order for there to be a button. As fluffy as this fabric is, I might be able to hand sew a button on. And the other thing too is that since all of my pages are already decorated, I don't have to worry about, expansion. So a lot of times people will make their cover, and then their cover is nice and snug. Like I'm working on this one, it'll be nice and snug like this. But then once they start adding stuff to the journal and decorating in the journal, they can no longer get it closed because now it's growing as things have been added. But my pages are already decorated. So I think I would be okay with that. It's definitely not looking quite as good as it did in my head, but that's pretty typical for me to have this idea and then it not turn out the way I'm thinking it's going to turn out. So you can see here and here, there's part where there's no fabric, and that's just kind of where it landed. I did forget to grab before I started my book corners. So I have several to choose from, several different styles. So I have, oops, there's two there. I have these. And this will kind of show you the trouble that I'm having with the journal I was supposed to finish for someone else, is that these things are not made for something more than paper. So you have to really work at getting all of your inside material where it needs to be before you clamp these things down. So I have that design. Hopefully everybody can see that good, that design. This one might be too busy and it also might be too small. I have simple and subtle. It's kind of like a grid. There's that one. Me and these Ziploc bags. Remember I was saying yesterday how much I dislike them. They're the same ones that come with diamond paintings that the little flappies like to tear, and then you can't get the bag open. Well, this one's really stupid. The little flappies are glued together. Well, that's just lame. All right. You see that? These are supposed to separate so you can get the bag open, and they're glued together. There we go. Told you I haven't used these yet, so this is the first time I've opened them. I have to do a little bit more gluing on this corner before. Yeah, this one won't even fit on here, but these ones are super tiny. Yeah, all the bags. I hate the Ziploc bags. I really despise them. So right now, Sam, since you're the only one really talking in the chat, which one do you think I should do? This big one? That first one that I showed? It goes like this. Or the graphy looking one? Ooh, almost threw it. Or the graphy looking one? This one. I think I like the big one better, quite honestly, this one right here. And I also think it really takes in this corner stuff a lot better too. Which I need to glue a little bit better. Oh, look at it. Forgot. Now my glue's all dry because I forgot to put my lid on. And I have a pile of little puddle. Yeah, the big one. Yeah, the more I looked at it, I was like, oh yeah. I mean that the grid one, I mean it went on really nice and easy, but it doesn't cover a whole lot on the inside. My glue's like, excuse me, I don't want to work for you right now. You left me open. And I think since I'm going to be putting the book corner on, I'm just going to trim this a little bit more to make it a little thinner. Yeah, I'm starting to feel almost like I'm a representative of Wish. So I'm like, oh, yep, bought this from Wish. Oh, bought this from Wish. Oh, look, got this from Wish. Foot corners came from Wish. Hence the same stupid, crappy, don't work Ziploc bags. I do have to figure out how I'm going to squish these because my tool is not where it's supposed to be. Who can I blame that on? I don't have anybody to blame that on except for myself. Not fair. I have a tool that I usually use for squishing these down. Like I said, it's not right here. I'm not sure where it is because this is my craft room. I'm trying to remember what Pam always says when she has that experience in her room where, something's not where it's supposed to be. And she's like, ah! Or she blames it on her dog, which cracks me up. It's been so long since I've watched any of her videos. Sunshine. I was say I can't even remember the name of her dog. Her dog's name was Sunshine. So anybody that's interested in like the true junk journal fashion, I would recommend Pam at the Paper Outpost. That's her Facebook page or her YouTube page. She does have a Facebook. She's also got podcasts on Spotify and LinkedIn and stuff. But she does a lot of just random, let's use this. Do you have, she's done a book cover that was, do you have a box and a sheet? And she shows you how to make a book cover. Of all the YouTube people that I follow, I would say Pam is probably the closest to the like true junk journal versus the scrap journaling. There is a lot of YouTubers too that they use digital kits. I struggle with that concept just because I feel like I don't know. It feels like cheating to me to purchase a digital kit that is the pages are already decorated and all you have to do is put them together. So when I do buy digi kits, it's usually like flowers or clocks or something that I can then cut out and use as little embellishments versus an entire page's worth. But I don't know. To each their own. Everybody does their things a little bit different. I gotta figure out. See, this is where I always struggle is then figuring out. I'll see with the book corners on there. It doesn't look too bad having that gap there. because it's going to attach right there somehow. So I could put a button here and a button here and then do like a, I think it's called a policy closure. Like on the office envelopes where it's got the two little circles and you wrap the string. I might have some decorative buttons that would look cute on there. I don't know. So when you make a cover, I mean, that's the basic, you know, and then it's up to you whether you want to decorate the outside of the cover. You could put lace on it. You could put pictures, anything you want, really. Your journal. Where is it? I'm looking for that lady. Remember the picture of the lady? I was like, I love this, but I can't find a journal to put it on. This was part of cleaning up my desk, was getting my pictures put together. See, if she wouldn't be covered up so much by this. Well, she's not covered, but I couldn't do the policy piece with her on here, the policy closure, because I'd be putting a button right through her neck. Oh, but she would look cute on there, wouldn't she? I'm dying to use this lady on something. I love her. Oh, see, I'm gonna have to think this out now. I shouldn't have even taken her out because now my brain is focused on that, on figuring out how to put her. On this cover. Be cute if I could figure that out, because then it looked like almost like she's holding it. Oh, your water tank? Oh my goodness gracious. That's okay, because I'm gonna end this live anyway for now while I brainstorm my next step in this cover. Hopefully by next Wednesday I'll have figured it out and we can decorate her up. Thank you to my brand. All right, guys, thanks for stopping in. Hit the like and subscribe on your way out. Replay crew, thank you for watching after the fact. If you like what you've seen, again, please hit that like button. Tomorrow is Thready Thursday, so I will be back to working on my cross stitch during the live stream. And join me next week where I will decorate this cover. Thank you, guys.